Tonight, let us begin another very slow walk into the past. This story is not fast, it is not loud, it is calm, it is quiet, it is powering. And maybe it will help you fall asleep. We will not talk of kings, we will not talk of battles, we will not speak of castles or knights or wars. Instead, we will talk about ordinary people. We will talk about their small jobs, their strange jobs that are now forgotten, jobs that were boring or dirty or simple, jobs that keep life moving in the Middle Ages. Let us begin very slowly with one of the dirtiest jobs of all, the gong farmer. The gong farmer was a worker of the night. He did not work in the sunshine. He did not work in the fields. He worked in the shadows, in the deep corners of the town. His job was to clean human waste. In medieval towns, people did not have flushing toilets. They did not have pipes that carried waste away. Instead, they had pits, cash pits, deep holes in the ground where waste collected. Day after day, people used them, and slowly the pits filled. The smell grew strong. The waste grew heavy, and someone had to empty it. That someone was the gong farmer. He climbed into the pit. He carried a bucket. He carried a shovel. He scooped out the waste, bucket by bucket, load by load, working in the dark, working in the sting, working very slowly. When his buckets were full, he carried them away, far away from the houses, far away from the market, out to the fields, out to the rivers, to places where the waste could be dumped. The gong farmer was paid well for his job, more than many other workers, but still people avoided him. They said he smelled of his work. They said he was dirty, so he lived apart, alone, forgotten. And yet without him, the towns would be full of filth, the streets would be full of sickness, and life would not continue. The gong farmer, boring as he was necessary. Now let us move to another forgotten job. The leech collector. In the Middle Ages, doctors believed that sickness came from bad blood. They believed that to heal the sick, the blood must be taken out, so they used leeches, small slimy creatures that drank blood. Doctors needed many leeches and someone had to collect them. The leech collector walked into ponds, he walked into rivers, he stood very still, bare-legged, sometimes barefoot, and he waited. Slowly, the leeches swam to him. They clung to his legs. They clung to his feet. They bit into his skin. They drank his blood. When they were full, the collector pulled them off, one by one, dropping them into jars, into clay pots, into small bags. It was painful work. It was slow work, sometimes dangerous work. The bites could get infected. The wounds could bleed too much, but still the job was done. Because leeches were needed, because people believed they could heal. The collector sold his leeches to doctors, to barbers, to apothecaries, and the cycle continued. Sickness, blood, leeches, and more leeches. A job now forgotten, but once very real. Now let us walk the corridors where another job waited. The rat catcher. Rats filled the towns. They lived in the streets. They lived in the walls. They lived in the houses. They ate food. They spread fleas. They spread diseases. The plague, the great sickness, was carried by the fleas that lived on rats. So rats were feared, and someone had to fight them. The rat catcher carried sticks, he carried traps, he carried dogs or cats. He searched for rats in the dark corners. He hunted them, he killed them. Sometimes the rat catcher showed his work. He held up the dead rats. He displayed them in the market. He proved that he had done his job. But the rats always come back. The work never ended. It was boring. It was endless. Still, it was needed. Without the rat catcher, the town would fall to diseases. Another small forgotten job. Now let us listen to a different sound. Not dirty, not bloody, but loud. The town crier. The town crier had a voice, a strong voice. He carried a bell. He walked through the streets. He rang the bell and he shouted, "Ois, ois." He cried, which means hear ye, hear ye. And then he gave the news. New rules, new laws, market days, lost animals, punishments. Everyone stopped it to listen. Everyone heard his words, and then everyone returned to their day. The crier walked on street by street, square by square, repeating the words until his throat was dry, until his job was done. Now he too is gone, replaced by paper, replaced by screens, but once he was the voice of the town. These were the forgotten jobs: the gong farmer, the leech collector, the rat catcher, the town crier, dirty jobs, strange and boring jobs, but necessary jobs. And now as you listen, you may let your mind grow calm, slow, gentle, bowing, just like the lives of the people who worked them. Let us continue our slow walk into the past. The first part was about forgotten jobs. Now we will speak about food, strange food, old medicine, and small beliefs. The boring details of everyday life. Food was not the same as today. There were no pizzas, no burgers, no tea or coffee in the early Middle Ages. No potatoes, no tomatoes, no chocolate. These things came much later. Instead, the food was simple and sometimes very strange. Bread was the main food, dark bread made from rye or from barley or from oats. Rich people ate fine white bread, poor people ate the dark bread, hard, heavy, dry. Sometimes bread was flavored with peas or beans or acorns. In times of hunger, people added anything they could. The taste was not always good, but it was food, and food kept them alive. Fish was also common, salted fish, dried fish, fish boiled until it was soft. On many days, the church said people must not eat meat, so they ate fish instead. Even far from the sea, fish had to be eaten, carried in barrels smelling of salt. It was not delicious, but it was the rule. Meat was eaten by the rich, but not every day and not by everyone. They ate pork, they ate beef, they ate mutton, sometimes they ate swan or peacock or crane. But that today we do not eat. The rich wanted to show their power, so they ate strange things. At feast, the food was decorated. A pig might be cooked, then dressed again in its skin. A bird might be roasted, then covered again with feathers, so it looked alive. But it was dead, strange, and boring. The poor had pottage, a thick soup made with water, made with vegetables, made with oats or barley. Sometimes a little meat, but not often. It was the everyday food boiled in a pot, eaten slowly day after day. Cheese was common, simple cheese is hard, salty. It lasted a long time. Eggs too when hens were kept, and milk thought often turned into butter or cheeses. Fruit was eaten when it was in season. Apples, pears, plums, berries, no bananas, no orange, no mangoes. Those fruits were unknown. Vegetables were basic onions, leeks, cabbage, beans, peas, turnips, simple food boiled until soft. Not much taste, not much spicy. Spices were expensive, they come from far away. Pepper, cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, only the rich could buy them. So for most people, food was plain, simple, boring. Now let us move from food to medicine. Old medicine, strange medicine, boring medicine. Doctors believed sickness came from bad humors. The four humors were blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. If they were out of balance, you become ill. So the doctor tried to balance them, sometimes by pleading, sometimes by purging, sometimes with herbs, sometimes with prayers. Leeches were used to talk blood. As we said before, sometimes a barber cut the arm and let the blood flow. People believed this helped. Did not always help. Sometimes it made people weaker, but it was the practice. Herbs were also used, mint for stomach aches, garlic for coughs, rosemary for headaches, poppy for sleep. Every village had women, wise women, who knew which herbs to use. Sometimes they were called healers, sometimes witches, but their work was important. Other curses were stranger, drinking ground up bones, wearing charms, placing a frog on the thought to cure a cough, carrying dried herbs to chase away the plague. It was not true medicine, but it was what they had. The church also gave curds, prayers, holy water, pilgrim images to shrines. People believed, and so they went step by step, prayer by prayer, a boring hope, a slow comfort. Now let us walk into the world of belief. The small superstitions, the little rules, the boring fears. People feared the night. They feared witches. They feared ghosts. They feared demons. So they made rules. Do not sweep the floor at night. Do not leave shoes upside down. Do not spill salt. Do not walk under a ladder. They believed charms could protect them. Herbs over the door, a rain by the bed, a prayer whispered before sleep, a cross down, rain on the wall. Dreams were also important. Dreams could give warnings. Dreams could tell the future. So people remembered them and repeated them even when they are boring. Festivals had their own beliefs, and midsummer people lit fires. At harvest they gave thanks. At Christmas they sang songs, simple songs, old songs, repeated year after year. The world was of rules, full of fears, full of little actions, all to make life steady, all to make life safe. And so, as you listen, imagine the taste of old bread, the smell of salted fish, the sight of a doctor with his herbs, the sound of a charm whispered in the dark. Slow, calm, gentle, boring, this was life and this was their world. Let us take another slow step into the past. We have spoken of forgotten jobs. We have spoken of strange food. We have spoken of old medicine and small superstitions. Now we will speak of festivals, of punishments, of small comforts, and of sleep. And Middle Ages were not always dark. Sometimes people gathered, sometimes people celebrated. There were festivals, there were feast days, there were times when the year was broken by joy. One festival was midsummer. On midsummer's eve, people lit great fires, bonfires on the hills, bonfires in the field. They believed the fires chased away evil. They believed the fires brought good luck. People danced, people sang, the flames rose high and night was bright. And then it was gone. Until the next year, another festival was harvest when the crops were gathered. Villagers gave thanks. They brought bread, they brought grain, they brought fruit. They thanked God for the food. They shared meals, they sang songs, simple songs, slow songs, the same songs every year. At Christmas, the year turned, people decorated with holly. They burned a Yule log. They went to church. They sang. They feasted if they could. For some, it was a time of joy. For brothers, a time of hunger. But still, it was marked every year without fail. There were also saints' days, days of prayer, days of rest, days of processions through the street, with candles, with banners, with bells, slow step, quiet voices, a rhythm of faith. But life was not only festivals, there were punishments too. The law was strict, the rules were clear, and punishments were public. If a baker sold bad bread, he might be set in the pillory, a wooden frame, his head and hands locked. He stood for hours while people watched, while people laughed, while time passed slowly. If someone is tall, they might be whipped or branded or fined it. If someone lied, they might wear a paper on their head with the word liar and stand in the square. It was not always painful, but it was always shameful. Some punishments were cruel, hands cut off, ears cut, even death. But many were simply powering long hours in the sun or in the rain, waiting for release. And so the town was ordered by fear, by shame, by boredom. But life was not only fear, there were also small comforts, everyday things, cute things that made life gentle. The warmth of a fire, the glow of a candle, the sound of rain on the roof, the smell of bread baking, the weight of a wool blanket, the comfort of straw in the bed. Families sat together by the fire. They told stories. They sang simple songs. They mended clothes. They carved wood. They spun wool. The day passed slowly. The day came quickly. And then there was sleep, but sleep was not like today. People did not sleep in one long stretch. They had two sleeps, first sleep and second sleep. And at night they went to bed soon after dark. Candles were costly, wood was precious, so they lay down early. They slept for a few hours, then they woke in the middle of the night. Some prayed, some whispered, some rose and sat by the fire. Some simply lay still. Then after an hour they went back to bed for their second sleep until the morning came. It was normal, it was ordinary, it was boring, but it was life. And so the days passed, work and food, medicine and belief, festivals and punishments, comforts and sleep. A slow circle year after year, nothing fast, nothing sudden, nothing exciting, only small steps, only small leaves, now forgotten, but once very real. So let your mind rest. Let the festival fade, let the punishments pass, let the small comforts settle, and let sleep come as it came to them long ago in the dark, in the quiet, in the boring world of history. Sleep well. Good night. Allah Hafiz.